Hey, good morning and good evening to you, I guess.
Hello, Reid. Hello, everybody.
How are you doing today?
I'm fine. I'm perfectly fine. I just come back from outside. It was very good weather, very cold, but it was enough to bring good mood.
That's good, and I'm happy to have you back on. I know we've been talking on and off the last couple of weeks, and as well with Mike Carlo, but you were back, I think, originally in May, right around there, debuting the Power
April.
BI, yeah, the side tools plugin, which already then has a huge amount of features and plugins and everything, and then essentially like the equivalent of what you guys are building today, is almost something like a what quick measures should have been in the first place, is templatizable DAX measures that are in that. But I don't want to get too far ahead of it. For people tuning in, a little background, like I mentioned, he was on earlier. He's built one of the cooler external tools that I've seen, certainly with Power BI. The fact that one of the things that I love is as when we were talking about it last time earlier this year, you're just most of these things I built for myself because there are all these missing features for Power BI that I really wanted to do for
Yeah.
development, and it just turns out they're very useful tools for other people as well. To be able to use Visual Studio Code, all this other stuff. So, and
I,
ironically,
I started.
the
I
yeah,
I started to post IDs on Power BI IDs, and then I
yeah.
understood that I needed to build my own tool.
So sometimes it's faster that way, right? Yeah. But the irony I think is that Ruth, who's Kerbal, who's the one who actually introduced the two of us, she'll be on this Friday finally for a another live
Yeah.
stream that I'm doing with her. But I appreciate Ruth for you introducing the two of us because it's certainly been awesome. And then ever since then, you got to work with Mike at PowerBI.tips. It's now part of the um, excuse me, the business ops plugin,
Yep.
which allows the install of that. So hopefully you're getting a lot more installs with that. But before we jump into any demos or anything else, do you want to give a little background about yourself and everything?
Yes, quickly.
Yeah.
I'm a business analyst, so I work on the business side, and I work with data for a long time now, mostly with Excel. And 5 years ago, I discovered Power BI, and I felt in love almost immediately. And then I I worked a lot with Power BI. I work with Power BI every day. I still love it. It's a fantastic tool. The community is fantastic. All the content we find everywhere is great. So there is a passion around Power BI, and I share this passion. I'm just a business user. I'm data group data quality officer in an international company. So I'm very interested in translations. I work in around translation, and I hope to provide some content about automatic translation next year, probably.
It's I think it's an underused feature, and certainly considering the fact that Power BI
Mm.
exists pretty much on every continent, it's
Yeah.
a well needed feature as well. Yeah.
Yes, because um, of course, in America, you don't need so much translation. You are such a big country, and you speak the most used language in
Yeah.
the world. But in Europe, we need. My company has 123 countries, branches in different countries.
Hmm.
So we need absolutely translation, and that we can use, even you in America, you can use the translation to translate the IT language to the business
Exactly.
language. So there is no more a conflict about the dim and fact table, for example,
Yeah.
in the name. Yeah.
Exactly. At the end of the day, it's the words, descriptions, and models definitely benefit from having all of that properly configured, whether it be the terminology or the syntax. Absolutely.
Yeah.
But yeah, yeah, I'm excited today to show off some of the stuff that you've done. Whenever you want, I can we can wrap up a little conversation here, or I can also switch over to the desktop share if you're ready.
Yes.
All right, that perfect.
So I will just speak a few words about
Mm-hmm.
Power BI Site Tools, which is an external tool, a free and external tool that I built. I built 2 years ago. So it's this icon in the ribbon, and I showcased it with you. So on the website, people can have the link to the video. And I described here several features that we have in Site Tools now. This one is the one that we will speak about today. So I will skip it internationally. So in Site Tools, you will have DAX Debugger. I will show it also today very quickly. I encourage you to have a look to the blog post. There is a DAX parser. So here is your DAX expression, and Site Tools can split it in a tree. So you have a better view of the structure of your DAX, and you have some insights here also. There is also an export data from the desktop to Excel. So it's something like analyze in Excel from SQL BI. But with Site Tools, you can save your Excel file, and after you can close it, and after a while you can come back to this Excel file. It's already formatted as you like, and it's refreshed automatically. So I use it a lot to send data to other business users. You can also transfer your DAX and M formulas to files. You can also transfer the layout JSON file and the beam file, which contains the whole model. So some kind of project that you can see in Visual Studio Code, which is a fantastic software with many plugins, more than 20,000 plugins. And it's in Visual Studio Code. You can search through all your files in your PBIX, but you can also search through different PBIX files. You can search through different versions of your PBIX. And you can also make some backups and different other things that you will discover in the blog post. I don't want to spend too much time on this today.
It's a good recap, though.
Here, yes. And you have here the setup instructions. So there is an installer version, which is not signed at this moment, so you will have still a notification. But we will solve this problem next weeks. And you have the portable version, which is available through Business Ops, which is signed. So this portable version can be used on a USB key. You don't need to install it. You can drop the folder on your desktop or anywhere else, and you launch the exe file from there.
So remind me, was that available last time, or is that a newer, the portable version?
No, it's new.
Okay.
And I needed to make it because Business Ops provides only portable apps.
Yeah, I didn't actually realize that, but that's okay. So all of the everything that can be installed with Business Ops has to be a portable install. Okay. I mean, certainly for IT, it's very important with a lot of people who have restricted computers where it takes 3 to 6 months to get approval of installing new software. I know that's one of the reasons that DAX Studio is so powerful is you have a portable version that does not require admin install to use. So I'm glad you have this as well.
Yeah. Tabular Editor and DAX Studio have a portable version. So so there is also another feature which is the external tool manager. So you can manage your icons in the external tools ribbon through this window, and you can create new ones even with a wizard. So it's very simple to create an external tool. And this external tool can be a tool, it can be a website, it can be a folder on your computer, and so on. And it can be even one feature inside tools. So each feature, individual feature inside tool, can be launched through the external tools ribbon straight. So if people wants to ask question, I can stop at any time. Reed, you can interrupt me whenever you want. So
Yep, got it.
So today we will speak about DAX, mostly about DAX. And DAX is a very famous topic in the Power BI ecosystem, and a lot of trainings, a lot of discussions, a lot of videos about DAX. And DAX is necessary in Power BI, almost like a formula is necessary in Excel. And all users in Power BI are concerned by DAX at a certain point. Maybe not at the very beginning, but very quickly you need to write your own DAX. And users in Power BI are sometimes business users, they are sometimes administrators, they are consultants, they are trainers. They have different profiles, and they can be skilled or totally newbies.
Exactly.
And at the moment, you need to write your own DAX. So for some people, it's okay. But for some people, it's really hard when they come to write, especially measures with the filter context, which is very difficult to understand at the beginning. So it's quite difficult to write DAX. You write your DAX, you test your DAX, it works, but you change the filter context and it doesn't work. So you need to understand this
Exactly.
and to work proactively.
I do have one quick question just that was brought up by Matthias, so let me throw that onto the screen. Just a general question about the side tools. Like, so what's the primary programming language used to basically build the side tools itself?
It's .NET.
.NET. Okay, perfect.
It's 100% .NET.
Awesome.
So when you start with DAX, you write a calculated column, you write a calculated table. It's quite okay because the filter context doesn't impact these DAX expressions. And it's very easy to write many of these expressions. But when you write measures, it becomes difficult. And when you write measure, I always have a picture in my mind. You are in front of a cliff sometimes, and you don't know how to climb to the top of the mountain. So always, from the beginning, I always try to think how to help people, and myself, by the way, because writing side tools, it helped a lot to understand more the model and everything. So how to help people to make things easier. And in fact, on internet, you can spend hours on internet looking at other DAX from other people, from experts, or not so much expert, but other DAX. It's not easy to understand DAX from other people, especially they are not written in your model. So you need to be familiar also with the model they use. So it's quite difficult. So I thought a lot about this, and last year I reached the point that I need to do something to make things easier. So I came with this DAX generator. I came with this idea of a DAX generator. So this tool generates DAX expression according to a template which is built by an expert or by somebody who has enough knowledge to do it. It's not difficult to build templates. It's very, very, very easy to use them.
It's just yeah, like I said, it's such a more robust version of what like should have been built into Power BI years ago. With quick measures are a great way to just like, oh, that's a cool couple of measures I can throw into the model, but they don't work with non-built-in date functions and all these other limitations that really just immediately arrest them to being cool to check out, but not really useful to implement in actual practical models. So as soon as you guys talked about this, like I immediately thought, like, yes, this is a great idea. I'm glad somebody's finally actually putting their feet to the ground and doing this.
And they are not very well documented.
No.
You need to know what you do to set up these quick measures.
Yes, I agree.
So we will go to the demo. You can launch the tool through the external tool ribbon. And here I built a DAX generator icon. So you launch this feature. In the background, there is a side tools instance that you don't see.
Mm-hmm.
There is only one window which appears here. So you have this window with the templates here, with some templates. And here you have sometimes some tabs which describe the template. So the first very simple use of this tool is to collect your DAX expression, because we copy and paste our DAX here and there. I don't know where you put it, Reed, but personally I put it in files. And then when I want this DAX that I wrote 1 year ago, I need to go through my files and to find this DAX. And when a colleague asks me for a DAX formula, I need to do the same. It's not very easy.
I mean, like honestly, like I do somewhat similar. Just the number of videos that I've done now, like pretty much every one of them that I release is like recorded video. I have a PBIX file that is downloaded, but I honestly rely myself so much on those. Like there's so many times where I need a pocket formula. I go to my folder of like 140 videos, you know, and look for like my calendar template or the video that I did on renaming columns with calculation groups. I will open the file and then copy and paste the code out of that. But it sometimes takes, 3 to 5 minutes to like, all right, what was the name of the folder? I have to search for that. Okay, no, it wasn't that word. What was it? And it can take some time to go dig back through all of your stuff and find like the right version to use.
Yes, you may have different versions of the same DAX.
Exactly.
Yeah. And when it comes to share it, you need to do it for each request. So here you have your own DAX templates in your user folder, and you can add templates from your model. So here is the model explorer. So the DAX generator is connected, of course, to the PBIX file, and it scans your model and look for a measure or a calculated table or calculated column to grab. So here I will use in sales. Here you have a possibility to expand and collapse. Here you can hide hidden objects. And here you can search I will grab this one, and it creates automatically this file, which is an empty template. Let's say an empty template because it has only several information here, and here it has the formula, but there is no instruction, there is no description, and it opens also Visual Studio Code, where you can look at the content of the JSON file. But it's not the place where it's easy to modify the template. We have another possibility. I will show it to you later. So you have your measure, and now you can already, so it's stored already, and you will keep it. And you can go to another PBIX file, and you can rename it, for example, and you can create it. You can generate the expression. So here is this new measure with this expression. Several comments that I did to document the expression, and then you create or update the measure in your model. You need to select, here you have a comment to read, to understand more what the tool expects from you. You need to select the table where you will store the measure. So let's store in the same table. And here, now you have.
The little pop-ups are very, very helpful too. I always appreciate any tool set that provides the proper amount of tooltips to make sure that people can kind of follow the lineage of what they're doing.
So here you have the measure which is created. So you can bring your DAX and copy it very, very quickly.
I love it.
So your templates are in folders. So you can edit this folder here with the Explorer. You can create your own folder, and it's updated in real time here. And you can store your measures in the folders, so you can reorganize your templates as you want.
Perfect.
It's just files in folders. You have at the moment you have two repository for your expressions. One is the user's one, so it's private to the user. And one here is the built-in templates folder, which are templates provided at the installation of the tool. So it will be updated, improved by the team. And you can use it as a reference or for a demo. You are sure that it works, and we will improve them with the time. At the moment, we have only these two repositories, but I plan to add more repositories, especially in network folder, so you can share with your team, or in OneDrive, you can share with other people very easily.
I think the shareability within and between organizations is going to be a big one. I'm also glad that you guys from the get-go are doing a GitHub repository so people are allowed to submit and easily help to have this grow very quickly as far as the templates that will be available.
Yes, we are working now on GitHub repository. It's in progress. Mike Carlo has this GitHub repository, and he contributes also with a web page I will show you later in his website. And thank you, Mike, to help. He does more than help. In fact, we have a good collaboration with Mike about this tool. And Mike provides also videos in YouTube regularly. He has already 4 videos, and I will give you the link. The link will be in the comment below the YouTube video. So here you have the possibility to go to the DAX documentation, the DAX generator documentation, which is this web page, and you have a walkthrough in details to understand how it works. You have also the possibility to create your own templates, to store your templates in repositories. There are some limitations, and you can also contribute with us. So this is the reference. I will update this website. Here you have the link to videos from Mike. I will update this website, so it will be the reference for the documentation. And now we will go through some examples, except if you have questions.
There we go. Realized I was on mute. So no questions so far. Somebody just had a quick one about if the XMLS language and JSON are similar, but they already kind of mentioned in the chat the kind of the differences between the two and the uses, at least for the XMLS.
The JSON file is very readable. When it's formatted, it's very readable if you have some experience. It's not very recommended to modify the JSON file.
Agreed.
Provides a tool for this, but it's doable. You can do it. So we have templates. Here we will use a very, very simple for the beginning. In this template, you have a description here. It's a very simple example using Power BI side tool DAX Generator. It's just made for the demo. You will see that the formula is extremely simple. It's a controls in a table. Here you have instructions. So the author of the template can help you to describe all the process of using this template. So in this template, you have here the measure name. So you can change the name of your measure, of course. I will keep it like this. I will display the desktop here. And here, this template uses an expression which has only one parameter. It's the table name. So here you need to select the table name with the Explorer, of course, and we will select product. We will controls in product table. Then nothing else to do than generate. You have the expression ready to be injected into your model. You create or update the measure if it's already existing. We need to select a table where to create this measure. Let's create it in the product table. Yes, my measure already exists in this name. So you have here an error message in your language. Here it's in French, sorry. So I need just to rename the measure. And I create it in product table. So I can go in product table and check. it's here.
I just want to call out one little best practice too that I appreciate that you do the underscore for like the calculated columns, which makes sure that folders stay at the top of the list in front of any other named items. I use a period myself, but it helps to sort and organize them that way because you can't do it manually.
Yes, otherwise it's very confusing.
Yeah, it's a bit more cluttered for sure.
Yeah. So here is a measure created.
I do have one quick question. Just if an existing measure definition already exists, will it update or override it?
Yes, if you selected the same table. If
Okay.
you select another table, it will be an error.
Okay, perfect.
Because a measure can be only once in your model with the same name.
Exactly.
So now we can use another template, a bit more complicated. This one. So it generates a calculated column. Here you have the description. Generates a calculated column which identifies duplicates in a column. So it's the same. If the same value appears multiple times, it will return as 1. Otherwise, it will return 0. So let's do it. We have here we have a table to test this calculated column. So we have cities here, and we see that Rome is a duplicate, and Paris is a duplicate in this column, but it's not a duplicate in the table because there is a Paris in France and in USA. So I will create a new column with this template. I will call it duplicated values. I select the first column to use, so it's the city. And I will ignore the optional parameter. The second one is optional. So I will start with this measure, with this calculated column. I will store it in duplicate example.
Perfect.
You need to refresh because the table needs to be calculated again, needs to be refreshed. And here you see that Paris and Rome are identified as a duplicate. But we don't want this behavior. We want to consider also the country.
Fair.
So we go back to the template and we select the second column. We select the country. We generate. We update this time in the duplicate example table. Oh, I made a mistake. I overwrote the previous measure, but it's not important. I didn't change the name of the calculated column, so I replaced the previous one. And now Rome appears as a duplicate, but not Paris. So you may have mandatory parameters and optional parameters. In fact, in a DAX expression, everything can be a parameter. Even comment can be a parameter.
You really wanted it to be,
function's name. Function's name can be parameters. The values can be parameters, and so on. Even the name of the variables or the measure can be a parameter. Everything. So it allows to make something very complicated if we want. So it works. Now we can play also with this expression. We can format it with SQL BI DAX formatter. It's formatted now. We can parse with the DAX parser, and we can look at the structure of the expression. We can select a function, for example, to see several information about it. we can click on the label of the function to go to Google search, and we will find different references, different videos about this. It will be a parameter in the future, so you can build this string as you want. That's the parser.
Beautiful.
And you can debug your expression. So you launch the debugger, and you see here your table with the calculated column that I created, with the different variables that I created in the expression.
Okay.
No question?
Let's see. We'll check. I was watching what you're doing. I'm just loving this new tool. So somebody did like the dark mode. There's actually, I'll double check with you on this. Similar to the question earlier and measure definitions. So I'm like 95% positive, even with dual mode composite modeling, you still can't have two measures with the same name and the same entity, but I've not attempted to try that because I usually just don't think you were able to. But it's still considered a single model. It just has multiple connections. So I said, like, yeah, I believe that the same restrictions for naming applies in any mode of model that you have in Power BI, my understanding.
I don't know, but in a composite model, at this time, I think you cannot reach all the model. I think you can have the import mode.
Yep.
Maybe I'm wrong, but I made trials and I didn't succeed.
Fair enough.
So use expression is a bit more complex, but the tool replaced it replaced this expression in different places in the expression. So if you do it manually, you need to identify the places where you need to change the table and column name. And it takes some time, and you might forget a symbol, or you might add a space, and so it's a reason to have issues. And here the tool does it automatically for you. It's very quick.
It's like the usability and ability to do like with any of these, it's to reduce the amount of development time, right?
Yes, yes. And you use templates made by experts. So, for example, you can use DAX patterns from SQL BI, and you can rely on them. You know that they spend hours to build their measure, to make it very reliable in different cases, and you need a lot of time to test your measure in different filter context and with context transition and so on. So sometimes it's even impossible for you. You don't have the knowledge to do this, or you will spend a lot of time. So it's really a time saver. And why to rebuild expression which has been built by somebody else? You can, of course, you can learn, but here also you can learn when it's built by the tool. You can understand how it's built with your own model, so it's easier to understand.
Agreed.
So I think we finished with this template, and now we can switch to another file. So read, if you want to to speak about this file because it's yours. We will use your fantastic measure now. So I open this file, and you can speak about it a bit if you want.
Yeah, absolutely. It's something that with a lot of the videos that I do, I'm honestly okay with them eventually becoming irrelevant and outdated when Microsoft eventually adds a better version to do something. I made this a few years ago, and even still now, they've talked about it, but Sparklines haven't come out yet as a built-in feature. They are coming soon, but a few years ago they added a in-between option, so you can render an SVG image inside of a table, which does allow you to render Sparklines. You know, basically within that. That's the download file that I have from there. The one unfortunate limitation is SVGs do have to render as a square. So unfortunately, you can't make them super wide. Other than that, this works well. I actually built this off of something that David Eldersfeld originally did. He kind of made a more simpler Sparkline. I went and I tried to make it look as close to what not Power BI, not HIPS, SQL BI does with their OKViz Sparkline. So I added the shaded area. I had a couple of options to smooth the line out. And depending on the data points, I actually added a bit of a dynamic switch. So the thickness of the line will become a bit thinner when there's more data points. So that way you can still make out the line and it doesn't kind of bleed into itself. So there's a couple of upgrades that I added to it and built off of what he did. And it was a pretty popular one. It'll still be useful for, I think, about another 3 to 4 months. But I am going to be happy when a legit Sparkline is built in as like a conditional format that's just directly into the matrix tables. But it's a great templatizable version. I know you added a few features, I think, related to basically just peppering the beginning of the query with variables. So you can basically color, size, and configure almost everything you want to with this to get it to fit with the categorical or date data that you're wanting to display with it.
Yes, so Sparklines will appear in Power BI, but SVG will still have their use case because you can do many things with SVG. You can do whatever you want.
Exactly.
So it's custom visual that you can create by yourself within a table. So it's quite a fantastic idea. I like the idea to be able to do whatever I want. So it's built in this Power BI file. So I try to replicate the same measure. It's a measure. Try to replicate the same measure with DAX Generator. So I go to External Tool. I launch DAX Generator. I will find this template in the built-in templates here. And there are many parameters compared to what we had before, but only 3 of them are mandatory. These 3 ones. This one you can leave it like as is, or you can change it. So this template is a bit more complex.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of the magic comes from, it's like with anything SVG, you have to provide all of the code that says where do the points render and everything else, because you're building a mini render script from scratch. Like it's not very far removed from like R or other stuff. Like you need to provide all of the input on exactly what library to run, where to put the pixels basically. So yeah, this will not be simple, but the nice part about the template, as you're showing, is you don't have to understand all the code. It provides everything that you would ever want to edit at the top. The rest of it gets populated and it plugs in and works.
Yes, you can ignore the code, but it's very interesting to go through the code. I liked it, but you can ignore it if you don't have time or if you don't wish. And this time, because the measure is more complex, we will use the wizard. We have a wizard here, and it splits all the process in individual steps. So the first step is the description of the template. And you have all here the authors. You have different web links that you can use for reference. Then you can go to instructions, and the author helps you to build this measure and give some tricks, how to hide the dots, for example, here, or how to adjust the stroke width of the line, and so on. And then you reach the object name, so you can modify the object name or keep it as is. But I don't want to modify your measure, so I will add an underscore in front of the measure name, so it will be on the top. Then I have 3 mandatory parameters. So I need a measure for the y-axis. For the y-axis, I need a measure. And I will use here the picker and the model explorer. I will use total sales amount measure, like you read. Next step, now I need, for the x-axis, I need a date column. So I will pick it here in the calendar table. I can use the date, but this one is has a higher granularity. It's one
That's
row,
good.
one date.
And it's good that you mentioned too, just in the description, it's like because it can only render in a square, like there's only so many data points that you can fit into that box before you're eventually just going to end up with a blob. So, for most people like watching this, I'd often recommend something this small. Like you probably don't want date, you would want month and year, quarter, something a little bit higher, unless you were maybe just showing a single month of data. At that point, maybe go down to the day level. But otherwise, anything that's like a year, a trend over at least a year plus, you're going to want something at a higher level so you can still see the pattern without having too many data points. Basically, rendering, no pun intended, the SVG useless.
So in your model, you have a month and year. Is the date of the first day of the month. I will select this one to have the same measure than you. And then you need a category, because here you can see that for the grand total, the SVG is not displayed. So for this use case, I need this category as a parameter. So I will select product category, like you did. And that's all. Other parameters are optional. So at the moment, I will not fill them. And I will go to generate, and I generate the measure. The measure is here. You can still modify the measure at this step. You can remove these lines. You can still rename the measure or modify the measure. But personally, I prefer to modify it in the previous screen.
Yeah,
so
that's
now
fair.
I will create a new measure with an underscore, same name and underscore. I will put it in the same table than you did. And here is my measure. I will add it to the table behind reads measure.
What's funny too is when you reached out, like I appreciate that you, as you were building this, you'd sent me an email asking what measures that I might be able to templatize, and I had to think about it a bit. It's like, you know what, I know a lot of DAX. By the time I came around to doing most of the stuff, though, 98% of the patterns that have already been written have been written for most stuff. It's like the one exception and it's makes sense for me is, you know, the one time you could do a visualization with the measure, because I focus so much on aesthetics and design, that was the one thing that I was happy that could actually be templatized. But it's I think it's very suiting on considering most of the videos that I do that it was building a visual out of DAX.
Yes, yes, it's amazing, this one.
Oh yeah, we just need to
Uh,
set the data category, I think, to
yes.
SVG, right? Hmm.
So here we have the SVG text, but we don't want this. So we need to select the measure, and to here we need to select that data category as an image URL.
Exactly.
But sometimes it doesn't refresh. Don't know why. So I switch to another tab and I come back.
Exactly. Yeah. I think there's in general it's just there hasn't been anything that's required to re-query that visual, so it's basically just stays cached.
Yes.
Excellent.
So we have exactly the same measure, and I explained how to do it. But once you know how to manage a template, it's very quick to adapt the measure to your model. So I'm used to say in less than 1 minute you are able to use a template. To build a template, it takes a bit more time.
Exactly.
I will, I will show you. So now that we built this measure, we will modify it. For example, the line we can change the color. So we have a color picker here. We can change the color of the max dot. So the green dot here, we will change it to yellow. And we can add also some dashes instead of a continuous line.
So I had just as you're talking through this, somebody was making a fun point is you should sell this to the Italians so they can convert their patterns into templates. With that though, is like how much of an integration do you see or hope for with a lot of the patterns that they have and potentially putting some of them into here?
Yes, any DAX expression can be a template.
Hmm.
It takes sometimes some time to build the template and mostly to test it. You need to test your
Yes.
template.
Yep.
So we hope we will have contributors who will help us. Mike makes a fantastic work. He creates a lot of templates. We have some contributors, but we accept more. Um and we hope to have many templates after several months.
Perfect. Hopefully
So
some
now
from the Italians too.
we can generate an update. Um, and the visual is refreshing now, and you see the difference now.
Fantastic.
So if the author makes a lot of parameters, you can parameter almost everything that you want. Now I will change these dots. I don't like these dots. And you see the granularity is the same. It's the beginning, the first date of the month which is used. What if I need to have a line for each quarter, uh, for um, for each week, for example? No problem. Here I have a calculated column that I can add to my calendar. I just need to select in the date in the calendar table. I need to select the date, and I have a template which will calculate the first day of the week. I generate, I update in the calendar table, and now in the calendar, I have first day of the week. I need to refresh the table.
Excellent.
And now I can come back to the Sparkline. Everything is saved. I don't need to fill in again the fields. I just need to change the date column to be the calendar, the first day of the week. I generate, I update. Here it is.
Yeah, lot more data points that way.
Yes, much more than the month. So that's why now we want to have a line by quarter. How to do it? We don't have a template, so we will build it. You can add a template from DAX Templates, and you go, oh, I'm sorry, it's not this one, it's this one. This one, create a template with Power BI tips. So you go here, and you go to the website, which has been built by Mike, and he improves it regularly. So it will be better and better. But it's already very good. What do we need? We need a simple formula. We need a template name. So it's first day of quarter. Here you can provide the description, of course. Here you have the encoding section where you will put your DAX expression. You need to select first, it's important, you need to select the type of DAX expression. It's a calculated column. And here you can copy and paste the formula if you have it somewhere, or you can type it in. And there is only one parameter here. Personally, I prefer to put % at the beginning, at the end of this parameter, but it's not necessary. It's just my personal choice. And then I need to remove this part and to put it here. Here is the name of the object, so the name of the calculated column. And here is just the formula with equal. This formula contains only one parameter. You can provide a description for the measure. All the descriptions are very important for the end user to understand what he needs to do and what will provide this calculated column.
Okay.
Then you have some metadata that you can set up. Everything is not mandatory. I will select only the text format at the moment. Then here you have some tags. So it's a date. It's a date, a tag. It will be easier to find this template later. Here you can type the author, some instructions, and some URLs to point to your website. And you need to set up this parameter.
Exactly.
So I copy this parameter and I create a parameter. I replace this value. Is the unique identifier for a parameter. So the % symbol helps to make it unique. Here is the parameter name. So it's something like a short description. So it's first day of quarter. sorry, it's date. Here I request a date column from your model.
So I have my own answers to this, but I will also just pop this question over. Let me get the right window up. Here we go. Okay. So age-old question. Why does it matter if it's a measure or calculated column if it's all DAX?
Yes, but I need to know what it is. So I will not create a duplicated measure in a model. It's forbidden. But I can create a duplicated calculated column as soon as it's not in the same table.
Yep.
And there is DAX and DAX. We have DAX in many places. We have DAX in calculation item, in RLS, in KPIs.
Yeah, I'd say, like, I mean, primarily it really boils down to three types that's just implemented in different locations. It's either a column, a table, or a measure, and then
Yes.
Accessed in different parts of the model and implemented. Yep.
So you can provide a description for the parameter, a data type. So this is a date, the first date of the quarter, and the user will need to select a column and a table in his model. This part is very important. And you have here this symbol to show that it's mandatory. So I think we are done.
Perfect.
I just control a bit quickly. Okay, so you can download the file. Here it has a unique name, but it's not very readable. You take this file, you drop it here, and it's added here. So I made a mistake because I have nothing. There is a mistake in my file. The default value is not necessary.
All right. If you click plus author, does that just tab them out, or does that give you a list of already submitted authors? Out of curiosity.
Not yet.
Okay.
Not yet, but we are in development now. We try to understand how far we will go with these templates, to understand how to build the template.
Yep.
So it's under progress now. So I will type some instructions. I think it's mandatory, these instructions and author. Maybe that was a mistake, but the URLs are not mandatory. No. I can open the template in VS Code to debug it.
Always finding the needle in the haystack, right?
Sorry,
Saying it's like looking for a needle in the haystack.
I didn't get you.
Sorry, it's a phrase in English. It just means you're searching through a lot of stuff to find the one thing that you're needle in a haystack.
I think it's a stupid mistake.
Yeah, don't worry about it if you can't find it though.
I cannot. Maybe description is mandatory, and I forgot to fill it in. So Mike made 4 videos, and he continues to make videos.
He does so many
about the
videos.
process of creating templates. He is much better than me in this, but I created several templates. I will try again one last time.
Okay. Yeah, no worries if not.
I don't like when it doesn't work.
It's the demo gods. You know, they're angry today.
Yes. Yeah, the demo devils, you mean?
Oh, the demo demons, yeah. They could be wrathful gods, you know, if they're like a Norse or a like Greek gods for sure.
Ah, it works.
All right, there we go. Okay, so
So
it just there's certain things that were required. Okay, cool. But
yes,
as you said, this is
something
still the small pieces are getting ironed out. So I'm sure at some point it'll be more obvious where like it won't probably even let you download it until like, hey, you have to complete this this well to to even be able to like download it. So
yes. So I will keep the same name, and I will select a date in my calendar. I generate the formula, which is quite simple, and I create in my model, in the calendar table, I create a new calculated column.
Awesome.
I go back to my model in the calendar table, first day of quarter here. So now I can come back to my I lost. As I switched the repository, I lost my configuration. So it will just need to build it again, and you will see how quick it is. DAX measure total sales amount. In the calendar table, I select my first day of quarter that I just created. And in the category, as a category, I select the product category here. And I keep it like this. I generate, update in the DAX measure table.
Excellent.
It doesn't work.
Oh no.
Of course.
We got to refresh the calculated items, right?
Ah, yes, that's all right.
There we go.
Works.
Excellent.
So with time, you get enough templates to manage most of the cases that you face in a model. So once you created your template, you can share it on Power BI Tips website. Here's the GitHub website. Here is the documentation, so you can read the documentation, and here you have the steps to share your template. So you need to fork the repository to
Yep.
create your template, and then to push it, and then to create a pull request. So if this process is too heavy for you, if you are not familiar with GitHub, you can contact me, and I will try to manage myself as far as I can.
Yeah, and all of your contact info for him and everything else, as well as the links, are all down in the description below this video. So plenty of good links to both download this, but also submit requests and everything else. And really, like, we encourage you to help this this tool grow.
Yes.
Yeah, actually had a good question here. I think we can start wrapping up here in a bit, but I had a really good one from Rafal. He wanted to know what's next. Considering this, what's next for side tools, and what options are you planning in the next year or so? If you have any hints or previews of what's coming.
Yes, so DAX generator will take a lot of time because we have many
It's a
IDs
big
with
one.
Mike. Yes, it's big. We hope it will be very helpful for users.
Mm-hmm.
In the next steps for DAX generator, we will be able to create multiple DAX expression with only one template. So we'll be able, for example, to create from a column in your model, you will be able to create the explicit measure, the sum, the average, and so on, with only one template,
Mm-hmm.
or things like this. So from this time, we will be able to make very complex template. It will be very powerful. And when I will have more time, I want to work on translations, because I have already a blog post with a process to create automatic translations in the model. Something like the tool which has been made by Microsoft Team. I think it's Otherrot who
I
created
think
a
so. Yeah.
metadata translator, or I don't remember exactly. Something like this, but integrated inside tools, so it will be much easier to use than the tool that I have now, which is Excel plugin, uh, and we have many other ideas for for the future, but at the moment I need to check what can be done. For DAX generator also, we will be able to iterate through several measures or
Mm-hmm.
several visuals. For example, like I will be able to create a measure for each visual in order to
Okay.
translate the title, because at this moment it's only
Yep.
with the conditional formatting that we can translate. And so things like this. I can also play with the theme in the PBIX file. So there are many possibilities.
I'm looking
And of
forward to
course, you are
the.
welcome,
Yeah. Go ahead.
to provide your ideas. So we can you can contribute and write some specification, for example, and we can think
Mm-hmm.
if it's doable or not. Um,
Yeah, like I think from that, just reiterating again what you said, highly encourage anybody tuning in and or watching this later, like definitely submit feedback, submit ideas, requests like this. This is in many ways, open source tool. So the more people that get involved with it and want to help out, the quicker and um, better it will grow for sure. But yeah, I love it. I'm glad that you implemented this. So thanks so much for sharing all this today. This has been fantastic.
but thank you to welcome me. It's always a
Yeah,
pleasure to to chat with you.
absolutely. And we had a good turnout. I think of people, some really great questions. we are wrapping up. So for anybody, if there are any remaining questions, drop them in now. Otherwise, like, yeah, I'm glad to have you on for a second time with this. I'm sure even like probably in another 3 to 6 months, I think there's going to be a lot of new features even just added to the DAX Generator alone. So I think there's going to be a good opportunity just to show some of the cool new stuff that it will be able to do even in the near future. Some people are, yeah, it looks like can't wait to watch the replay, which I was able to watch live. So yeah, it's been a pleasure as always. So thank you so much for joining today.
Thank you, Reed. Thank you, everybody.
Absolutely. But otherwise, yeah, for people tuning in, Friday will be a live stream that I'm doing with Ruth. It's going to be a fun topic. We joked about it, and I joked about it because on every, it's the consultant answer. It depends. And I was talking to her recently about like what we could do, and I think I mentioned that like actually as a joke, like, wait, that actually might not be a bad idea. Like, what about if we talked about a bunch of best practices that people have, ones that a lot of people say like it actually should be done this way, but then provide a scenario where it depends, you know, like break things down and actually provide exceptions to so many rules. So I think that's going to be just a really fun conversation. Ruth and I have different opinions on stuff as well too, so I'm actually really looking forward to that one as well. It's going to be kind of a fun just water cooler talk, and hopefully a lot of people in the chat will also be able to throw in some topics that we can dissect a little bit as well.
I will watch it.
Perfect. Have a great rest of your night, and again, thank you so much for tuning in.
Thank you. Bye, everybody.
All right, cheers. Thank you so much for watching. Please consider hitting that like and subscribe button. And if you want to help support this channel, take a look at our channel memberships as well. And last but not least, please consider sharing this video on social media to help pass on this awesome content and to help the channel grow. So until next time.